Coming up on Dig It.
And he turned around to me and he was like, will you stop doing that? And I had to say to him, no, Steve, you've hit the loop button. It's your fault.
There is something quite bonkers about seeing Jay-Z in your local garden centre looking around the ferns and Beyoncé. Do you pay your kids to do tasks for you?
There is no way my kids are ever going to do anything in the garden unless I give them money.
All of that right after this. Hello, Joe. How are you, Gorge?
I'm all right. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, had a nice weekend.
I've got you a present, by the way.
Oh, okay.
It has finally turned up. I saw these online and I could not resist. So I got one for you.
Are they pants?
And one for me. Can you see? It's a hat.
If I'm gardening.
Says, off, I'm gardening.
Okay, I love it and I'm going to wear it.
What colour would you like? I've got black or blue.
Let's have a look at the blue.
There we go. The blue is sort of battered.
Yeah, maybe blue.
And the black is ready to be battered.
I'll go for the blue. It's kind of denim blue. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
It's coming to you in the post. And they're actually made by a fruit company called Bram's Fruit, which I think are in Holland. But well done to Bram's Fruit for coming up with the best merch.
It's really stylish. It actually looks like the Alex Eagle caps. It could easily be an Alex Eagle cap, which is very cool and very, stylish.
Also, I cannot wear a baseball cap. Look at me. I don't do hats very well. I think it's because I have a big round face, like my dad's. Love you, Dad. Thanks for the gift. But isn't it? It's what merch? It's such good merch. Yeah. We need some Dig It merch.
When you're gardening, you just want... I mean, I do it for solitude and because I'm in a bad mood and I just want to get away from everybody. So the idea of somebody coming up and going, oh, hi, and just trying to have a chat with you, you just put the hat on and just stare at them. Get the Paddington Bear stare and then the hat, fuck off, I'm gardening. They've got the message straight away.
Read that and goodbye.
At this point, I have to say, sorry, Mum, for swearing on the podcast. That's it. Just cover myself.
And sorry, Dad. Although I'm not sure if my dad's listening anymore after we talked about sex toys. So... We've lost a listener, but someone down the pub will tell him that I've sworn. Speaking of garden centres, there was some rather fabulously famous attendees of a garden centre in the lovely neck of Burford last week. Did you see this?
I did.
Yeah, you know this garden centre.
I do. It's Burford Garden Centre. It's in the Cotswolds. And if I'm ever going to go fancy, that's the place that I go to. Just because they have different stuff there. Like they have outdoor furniture and... But I mean, they do anything and everything and it's very, very cool. And all the plants are really like healthy and beautiful. And who would go shopping there or who has been spotted going shopping there? Jay-Z and Beyoncé. So, I mean, I did try to contact them to get some kind of confirmation or corroboration of this, but they've declined to comment at the moment. Obviously, they don't want to upset their potential clientele.
Do you know what this is a garden centre that sees Ellen from America, who now lives in the Cotswolds there. Kate Moss apparently goes there. Simon Cowell goes there. So there's quite an amazing clientele in this place. Joe Whiley goes there. But there is something quite bonkers about seeing Jay-Z in your local garden centre looking around the ferns and and Beyoncé. And I'm just thinking, will they have turned up in because you couldn't miss those two, could you? And I'm obviously imagining them turning up looking absolutely fantastic. They're not going to turn up at a garden centre, are they? In their gardening clothes, like you or I might do on a Sunday morning. Like, quick, the kids are busy. Right, I'm just going to pop to the garden centre. I mean, I go to the garden centre in all sorts. In fact, this weekend I'd been to the garden centre and I'd gone in my leggings, which later on was pointed out my leggings are inside out with the label hanging out. So, Beyonce's never going to do that, is she? No one had told me all day until last night. It's like, oh, I can't believe it.
I've just had a message from my friend Marcus, who does all the hard work at Burford. So did Beyoncé and Jay-Z visit Burford Garden Company, as many have read? Is there really a new song called All the Burford Ladies being recorded? As in all the
Burford ladies. All the Burford ladies.
All the Burford ladies. Well, all we can say is that we are very fortunate to appeal to a very diverse and interesting variety of customers from all walks of life who come to us for inspiration and for those harder to find items for their home and garden, which we, of course, enjoy sourcing. Of course, we're never going to reveal the identity of anyone who visits the store. There is no doubt that the talk of superstar American singers and celebrity A-listers shopping in our midst always causes quite a stir, and that is a boost to our hard-working team here. I thank you.
Oh.
Well, I mean, that's it. That's what we've got. That from the horse's mouth, that's what they're saying.
They so were there. But you know what? They're not denying it, which I think is effectively confirming it.
I tried to send you a lot of photograph of myself at the garden centre when I was soggy, and I took the photograph and I was like, I cannot possibly let anybody in the universe ever see this photograph of how horrendous I look. I deleted it like so many different times. But no, they would have turned up, I'd imagine, in great big vans. I'm imagining they have huge vans in which to put all the purchases that they make, on maybe some entourage as well. Once we did Glastonbury and Beyoncé was headlining, it was that amazing time when she headlined there.
Oh God, she was so fabulous. I've watched that so many times.
And then she came back to do an interview with me and Lauren Laverne, and we had to wait while they brought their own lighting. Beyoncé brought her own lighting to do the backstage interview behind the pyramid stage, and then someone turned up with a pair of pristine Wellington boots that had never been worn before, and she stepped out of her stage shoes and she put on the brand new pristine Wellington boots so that she was Glastonbury ready for the interview. It was the funniest thing. But God, I love her very much and she is amazing, but that made me laugh. Own lighting and brand new wellies.
See, that's where we're going wrong, Joe. We need our own lighting team constantly.
God, tell me about it.
Following us around. I don't know how easy it would be to be my lighting team, to honestly, whatever I try and do. I don't understand it. I don't understand the lighting. But so does this mean that they've bought a place in the Cotswolds, do you reckon?
I hope so.
Is it more and more Americans living down that way?
There are, aren't there? Can I say, because Jay-Z came and did the live lounge from my house, which was in Northamptonshire. So maybe that's
Do you know what? It's you.
He met my grandma, got on really well with her, thought, some nice people around here. I like all the old people who live around here. Joe's mum seems quite nice. I've shared a glass of champagne and some strawberries with her. I'm going to tell B about this and maybe we'll move to the Cotswolds. It's a great garden centre. It's called Burford. I'm in.
I see Joe Sugg and Diane Buswell in my local garden centre.
They're having a baby, aren't they?
And they just did the cutest thing. They met. Did you see the video?
I did.
Thought it was
Coco and I watched it.
Adorable baby reveals ever. The two of them, and they do really funny on social things. Their Instagram accounts are so brilliant. And I love Diane. She's one of my favourite dancers. And her and Joe, of course, met on Strictly. And he wowed everyone. And they're local. They live down this way. And they were doing a little video where they're doing some painting. They've got an easel and they're doing some painting. And if you follow either of them, you should check it out. And in fact, if you follow them, you've probably seen it. And they're doing a painting and you're thinking they're probably painting each other. And then they turn the painting round and it's a picture of both of them holding hands. And there's a little mini one and it says 2026, they're having a baby. Yeah.
Oh,
honestly, it properly made me well up seeing that. I felt so happy. And I was like, it's the first Strictly baby, thinking, of course, it's not the first Strictly baby. There's been so many babies.
But it feels a special baby. I don't know, because I love them so much.
Yeah, I know. We do. We just love them, don't we?
Yeah, and, the whole love story.
They're really adorable. They're such a gorgeous couple. And so congratulations to them.
If you're loving Dig It, make sure you hit the follow on Apple or Spotify. It means you'll never miss an episode. They'll download to your phone directly as soon as they're out.
How's your week been? Now, the last time I spoke, you were off to a wedding this weekend and there was a chance that you and Disco Steve were going to do back to back.
Well, let me tell you, going to the wedding of someone that you love, that you've seen grow up, I hadn't quite realised how emotional it was going to be. It was like watching one of my own children get married, and I had so many tissues around me and like dark glasses because it was just so beautiful and so meaningful.
Aww.
And then the entertainment, they'd asked us to do a bit of DJing in the evening and we were like, yeah, fine, of course, it'll be our wedding present to you. We're more than happy to do that. All I can say is how the Chemical Brothers have ever DJed together and are still together after this many decades, how Hot Chip are still together, how Fats and Small are still together after DJing all these years. I don't know. Because if you're passionate about music and you're DJing, you're never going to agree with the person that you're DJing with. Or is that just me and Disco Steve?
I think that is hilarious.
Honestly, there were so many moments when we'd be playing a record and then one of us would go, oh, right, should we go to this one next? And then the other one would go, are you mad? No, we're going to this one. And you feel so angry with the other person. I just walked off. So basically, Disco Steve did a lot of the DJing because we found it quite hard to agree. There were the occasional technical hitches because the DJ set ended up not being 2 hours, which is what we thought. It ended up being 4.5 hours or 4.25 hours. And Steve had paced himself. So he did about an hour and a half of DJing and he was fine. He didn't have a drink. And then he obviously got to that point where he thought the end is in sight. And so he started doing shots, tequila, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Lord, straight in.
And I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, he's lost the power to DJ now. This is not going right. And at one point, he played Taylor Swift and then he'd hit a loop button somewhere. So Taylor would play for 20 seconds and then she'd begin again and then she'd begin again. And you can imagine the chaos on the dance floor, everyone kind of going, la, 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 la. Oh, and na, 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 na. Oh, no, no, no. And he turned around to me and he was like, will you stop doing that? And I had to say to him, no, Steve, you've hit the loop button. It's your fault. So you can imagine by now, like the tension in the air. And then the groom was supposed to take over. And he was so drunk, he hadn't got a clue what he was doing. So that's why the DJ set ended up being 4.5 hours long, because he'd lost capacity to DJ and there was no one else there that could do it.
Oh, you see, this is good. Anyone who is planning a wedding, who is listening to this, learn from this now that the idea that the bride and groom want to come and play some records is a lovely idea, and maybe some will do it, but you might want to do it slightly earlier, because by a certain point you are just going to be so in the spirit of it all, which is what happens at weddings. Yes. It really does. I as you were saying that, I was thinking about Tom and Ed at Chemical Brothers, who we know and love, and I was thinking, that is an amazing partnership, but that is a partnership that started when they were at university and has gone on for many, many years, and they have probably learnt about each other's ways like that, whereas you and Steve, it might...
Well, I'm just used to DJing on my own. Yeah. I mean, we both knew what we wanted to play and they weren't necessarily the same records, but we laugh about it now.
Thank God his wife happens to be a professional and one of the best that there is when it comes to DJing live.
He does a lot as well.
I don't get to go to many weddings anymore. It's such a shame.
I know. I feel like I'm just entering into that phase now because of all the kids' friends are getting married, and it was really lovely. It was quite interesting to see how they do things differently. There was no bouquet throwing. Ooh, that didn't happen.
Okay.
The speeches, I'd not had this experience before, but the speeches were kind of broken up. So some of the speeches were right at the very beginning of the meal. Just because you know how you get so nervous and anxious and it all builds up to these speeches and then it's so stressful. But they broke it up. So you had a couple of speeches at the beginning, then, an hour later, another couple of speeches. And that was quite good.
I think that's a great way of doing it. Partly because it's the most terrifying thing ever to make a speech at a wedding. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who's had to make a speech who would not agree with that. It's so terrifying, and you're waiting and waiting. And the longer you have to wait, the more sober you have to be, and the more terror. But you need a drink to not be scared, but you don't want to be drunk because you've got to deliver the speech. I sort of forced myself into making a speech at my friend Beth's wedding. I was like, well, how come no one's speaking for the bride? You've got someone speaking for the groom. I'm going to speak on behalf of the bride. And then, of course, regretted that massively.
How did it go?
It was terrifying. Do you know what? I had a terrible hangover because we'd all gone a bit too soon on the night before because it was all great friends together, and I'd stayed up a little bit too late, and when I got the nudge saying we've got to go and do the flowers now, my face was sliding off at that point. This is a long time ago. I would never do that now. So by the time I got to do the speech, I was terrified, but I aced it and I got some big laughs and I was really relieved. But I will never, ever do it again. I will never speak at anyone's wedding again. It's too scary.
And I'm sure people listening right now will have had their own experience of doing speeches or things going wrong at weddings, which we'd love to hear. So if you have got your own wedding story, wedding speeches in particular, let us know. Send them. All details are in the show notes.
I think it's always good when you go to a wedding and you see people do something, you're like, that's a really good idea. And then someone's getting married, you're going, I went to a wedding and they did this. It's such a lovely idea. You should do that. There was one really lovely thing I'll never forget at a wedding where the bride and groom did a thing later in the evening where they got loads of rockets, fireworks, and everybody had on the tables had written little messages to their lost loves in the sky, like all grandparents and parents and lost friends. And then they tied them onto rockets and they set them off on the beach. And I thought that was such a lovely thing to do for the people who couldn't be there, which I thought was really special. Anyway, can some of my friends get married, please? Because I haven't been to a good wedding for ages, and there is one of my friends who might get married next year, and she knows who she is. And we're all waiting to know whether it's going to happen or not. This episode of Dig It is sponsored by Ancient and Brave.
Zoe, you know I love a wellness routine, and I've added creatine to mine.
Oh, tell me more.
I will. True Creatine Plus from Ancient and Brave. I just pop it in my tea or a smoothie. No taste, no drama.
And you don't have to be training for a triathlon, right?
Absolutely not. It supports strength, recovery, energy, and new research is saying it even supports brain function, and it's good on rest days too.
Love that. Plus, it's got taurine, vitamin D, magnesium. It's like a little daily lift.
Plus, they're a B Corp, proud members of 1% for the Planet, meaning that 1% of all their sales, which they've now increased to 2%, goes directly to environmental causes that protect our planet.
So it's wellness for you and the planet. Go to ancientandbrave.earth/planet and use code DIGIT for 20% off your first one-off purchase.
That's code DIGIT at ancientandbrave.earth/planet. This episode is brought to you by Airbnb.
Joe, what are your holiday non-negotiables?
Okay, not that I'm fussy, but it has to be a nice bed, a big TV, and a comfy sofa to watch it from. An Airbnb would be ideal.
I stayed at an Airbnb once in Colorado. It was a tree house. An actual house built in a tree. Honestly, it was like being in a film. I was so grateful to my host for such an amazing, scenic experience, as well as a seriously comfy, lovely home.
Oh my God, you would make a great Airbnb host. Everybody says that you're incredibly thoughtful and generous. I've actually got a friend who hosts her place while she's away, just every now and then when it suits her, and she really loves the flexibility.
I've never thought about hosting before. I guess you can start small and see how it feels. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Exactly, and it might help top up the holiday fund for your own treehouse getaway. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.co.uk/host.
We talked about planting for our lost loved ones, and we've had so many messages on this. They're wonderful. This is a text from Joan. Hi, Joan. She says, "Hi, you two. My mum, Phil, planted this blueberry bush about 25 years ago, a few years before she died. She would be so happy to know her children and grandchildren have loved picking tons of berries every year, leaving plenty for the birds. The magic and continuity of gardens."
You said it. That's so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
God,
and
it's a lovely photograph as well.
And there's a picture of the great grandkids, Shane Og, Esty, the Festy, what a great name, and Ruby picking the blueberries. Oh God, this makes my heart swell with joy. Isn't that a beautiful thing? You see,
circle of life, isn't it? It's so nice.
Circle of life.
Yes.
And imagine, they look really juicy.
All right, glasses on. This is where I need to share with you. We have our garden experts. Now, September in the garden is one of those months where a little bit of effort goes a really long way. So this is the time for action, not just in keeping your garden looking good, but also saving lots of money as well. There is so much you can do in terms of dividing and moving stuff around. So we have asked award-winning garden designer Polly Wilkinson from Studio Pollyanna, which is like jaw-droppingly gorgeous, for some budget-friendly ways of making the most of your space. And today, Pollyanna is here to talk us through one of her favourite September jobs. Listen up.
Hey Joe and Zoe, how are you doing? I hear you're talking about what to do in the garden in September, and one of my favourite jobs to do is to divide herbaceous perennials. Herbaceous perennials are just the plants which are in bloom in spring, summer or autumn, but they die back every winter. But the trick is they come back every year. So that's a herbaceous perennial. And we divide them for a couple of reasons. The first being after 3, 4, 5 years, it helps them to maintain their vigour. So dividing them actually keeps them healthy. But the other thing, it also means free plants. So one thing I'm slightly obsessive about as a designer is the repetition of plants around a garden. So this is a great way to get free plants that you can replant in the garden and give a real sense of cohesion. It's super easy to do. You're just going to cut the plant down to the ground, dig it up, and then either put a spade through it, or you can leave them apart with forks, or I've even been known to use an old bread knife to saw them apart. You can divide them into several pieces. It kind of depends how old the plant is, and then replant them and water them well, and then you can plant the others elsewhere or give them away. In terms of the plants you want to do this with at this time of year, I tend to do the plants which flower before the end of June. So things like Nepeta, Geranium, Alchemilla mollis or Geum, and other plants which flower later, as well as ornamental grasses. So things like sedums, but also ornamental grasses like Miscanthus. I would wait and do in the spring because those plants give really valuable winter and autumn interest, and I wouldn't be without that. But any of those that flower before the end of June, you can do now. So that's a job that keeps you busy, but also gives you free plants.
Brilliant.
Yes, that's what what we want. She's so good, Pollyanna.
She's so fab. She's really good on gardens, interiors, and clothing. Fashion.
She's great.
She always has really great fashion as well. So thank you, Pollyanna. I follow her and I do take loads of tips from her. Well, this is really good actually, because I was looking at the geraniums and they're obviously now getting a little bit, they need a tidy up and a cut back. So I will definitely do that, because obviously my garden's quite new and there's little gaps now when I've realised that some of the beds have done better than others, and maybe that's because of the sunlight they're getting, or maybe there's just the soil needs more feeding. So that is a really good job. And yeah, getting free plants from what you've already grown to either share or to repeat plant is such a brilliant idea. Saves you an absolute fortune. Can I ask you, Jo, when do you mulch? Is that later in the year? Later in the autumn?
I don't know. We need an expert. I'm not sure. I didn't mulch last year, and I know I need to this year. So maybe
it's been so dry down in Sussex this year that I had mulched a bit, but I definitely need to mulch more. And I've got some bags of mulch, but I suddenly thought, I don't know when I should be doing that.
I think you can mulch pretty much at any time, but I think this is a time where you want to get the goodness into the ground, so it makes sense to do it in September, October, November this time. So that it goes into the plants, so that they then will flourish when we get to the springtime. But it's quite a big job, because my borders are quite big, so I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to get enough mulch and how many sons I can employ to put the mulch on the borders, whether they're going to run for the hills.
Do you pay your kids to do tasks for you? Yeah, I've often found that with my kids. Yeah. An incentive is often very helpful. Okay, you wanted that thing, I will get you that thing if you will help me. Or I'll give you cash, because they're always short of cash.
Yeah. No, there is no way my kids are ever going to do anything in the garden unless I give them money.
I've got a few last budding roses coming out. So beautiful. Just the last minute ones. And so, I had a couple of hydrangeas in pots that had really suffered in the heat. And there's green leaves on them again. So I'm imagining at some point I'll cut them back, but I will find out when the right time is to do that, because I've got to wait for the rain to stop a little bit, because the garden needs a really good tidy. But I've got some lovely grasses there.
Hydrangeas, I think you leave.
And the hydrangeas you leave, don't you? Yeah. And the grasses you leave. I tell you one that I'm not sure if I should leave, and I'd really like to get some tips on that, is, what are they called? Eryngium. Like the thistles, the lovely
can cut those
electric
back.
blue. Do you cut those back? Yeah, because
Eryngium,
Eryngium, they sort of look like thistles.
Yes, I know the ones you mean.
And they were electric blue. Do I cut those back, or do I leave them for a bit
of... Okay, experts need to tell us that. I thought you meant the little daisies, which are erigeron, aren't they?
Erigeron. Yeah. I never quite know how I'm pronouncing these things. I just call them daisies.
I hope we make all the gardeners laugh with our mispronunciation of all the plants that we love, and we think might possibly know what they're called, but we're not sure.
It is a safe space. We accept all here, and people who know, great. And that's the thing I really love with gardeners who are not precious about people knowing Latin names, because
I've never liked musical snobs. I don't like garden snobs either. I think my hunch is that you leave the eryngium because they give you structure and and shape in your garden throughout the winter. So that is my hunch. And then you would take them down in the spring. But if anybody knows, then help.
Jo, it's crate digging time, and I cannot help but be mesmerised by the album behind you, the green. I mean, look at that. It looks, for me, because my eyesight is so bad, it looks like a floating piece of art. It's incredible. What are you going to delight us with this week?
It is the vinyl copy of Big Thief's new album, which is called Double Infinity. And it is really very, very beautiful. I'm presuming it's some kind of scientific emblem that they've got on the front, but really, really vivid. It actually looks like a tangerine that's been sprayed green, but it's their brand new album. Big Thief, you might know there's one song they had called Vampire Empire, which I've played quite a lot on my show, and it's one of their popular songs. Adrienne Lenker is in Big Thief, and she had an amazing solo album out last year, which I think you like as well, right?
One of my favourites from last year. Yeah, I sort of knew her probably before I realised that she was it. It was like, oh, she's in Big Thief, right?
Yeah. And so it's very, very sparse and very atmospheric, and like really big on lyrics, meaningful lyrics and voice. And if that sounds like your kind of thing, then I recommend Big Thief, the new album. So it's called Double Infinity, and that is my crate digging offering for this week.
Okay, I'm going in.
Delve on your shelf.
Records behind me, and I'm going here. Oh gosh. And we have, fantastic. Now, this is an absolute beauty. This is Donny Hathaway live. I adore Donny Hathaway. And this is one of the most played albums that I own, actually. It's a double album. And there were 2 gigs, one recorded at the Troubadour in Hollywood and one recorded at Bitter End in New York. And I mean, look at this for a write-up. The baddest new sound on the scene, Aretha Franklin said that about Donny Hathaway. I love his voice. Donny has his thing together, says his friend Roberta Flack. And on here, you've got Voices Inside, Everything is Everything, which is one of my favourite ever songs. That is a delight, and it is well played in the household.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, quite pleased with that this week, actually.
2 musical offerings for you, Big Thief and Donny Hathaway then. Contrasting. What a contrast between the two of them.
What a contrast.
But again,
absolutely.
Musical magnificence.
Do you know what? I'm going to see the Beta Band in a few weeks. They're one of my favourite bands of all time, and I've just been watching on their Instagram. They're putting up footage of their rehearsals and how it's going, and I cannot wait. They're playing at the Roundhouse in London, and there was a bit of a bun fight for tickets, and I was so disappointed last week that I didn't get my Radiohead tickets. I got my code. I was in the queue, but I was doing some filming, and when I finally got my place, I was doing a link, so I didn't get to get my tickets. But I have seen them before, so I must be grateful that I've seen them before. But I am going to see the Beta Band in a few weeks, so I cannot wait for that. If you've got your Radiohead tickets, well done to you, because
I haven't met anybody who has yet, have you? Everyone I've spoken to has been that same frustrated.
Everyone's been so disappointed. So Tom and the boys, please do some more dates if you can.
Well, hopefully they'll do these and then they'll get an appetite for it, and they will be more. Obviously, we are talking about so many of our musical passions and bands and artists that we love and we're listening to and we're going to see. If you want to find all these song selections in one place, have a look. It's there on our Dig It playlist as part of the weekly Substack newsletter, which will be in your inbox every Friday. It looks gorgeous. It's got lots and lots of different tips and recommendations. So it's the Substack newsletter in your inbox every Friday. It's essentially what we've been reading, wearing, listening to, all that kind of malarkey. The link to subscribe is in our show notes.
That's all we've got time for today. Back again on Monday to dig in and hear what you've been saying. If you have any questions, tips or general thoughts, do contact us. We really love hearing from you and getting you on the pod. Our WhatsApp and our email address are in the show notes.
And if you are loving the podcast, which we really hope you are, please leave us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify with a little review. It really helps other people to find the show.
Bye, Joe. Have a very positive week.
Thank you.
I've loved today.
I know, it's been really nice. It's been really lovely. What have you got to look forward to over the next few days? Anything great?
Do you know what? I am continuing the Kim and Aggie sorting out of the house. I am taking Nell shopping, which I love, will mainly be in Urban Outfitters. I think, and this afternoon I'm getting the results of my hip MRI. So I'll finally find out what is wrong with my hip.
Also, I just wanted to flag something up, which is I do really care about and I want people to know about, which is the Rockin' Roadrunner Festival, which my mum originally set up. And it's a festival. It's in Northampton at Abington Park. And it's a wonderful festival for anybody with learning differences. So if you are anywhere near Northampton, if you want to come to Northampton, we've been going for years and years and years. It'll be so much fun. Lots of different groups contributing, and get yourself there and you'll have a fun time.
Fantastic. When's that happening?
That's on Sunday. Sorry, that's Sunday. Yeah.
I will put my yellow pants on and do a sun dance so that you get some sunshine on Sunday.
My God, please do. Yeah.
Yeah.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side, darling. Bye.
Bye.
Dig It is a Persephonica production.